Welcome to Escape This Podcast, a show that's a mix between tabletop role-playing and escape room puzzles. This is episode 9.
I'm glad you're keeping track.
I've kept track. This is the 9th room. You could argue it's episode 17.
What?
But it's because we do the post shows, the podcast This Escape, but it's the 9th room of season 16. Yeah. And we have, I believe, for the season, our last guest game master room.
Ooh.
So every episode we have an escape room that someone has to play, and this time it's me and Danny. And our guest game master for this episode is Justine. Welcome to the show.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. Well, I think it's great to have you. We'll check in again at the end of the room. If it's terrible, it was terrible to have you. But
fair enough.
I don't even know if that's true.
Actually, that's not even true. If it's terrible, it's still good to have you.
Like, so far, we've been doing our pre-recording chat, and I think it's a win, even if the room's terrible.
That's true.
Too kind. Well, I will wait for the actual examination results at the end of the episode.
I know very little about this room, which is good. I think that's a good thing going in. We don't want to be spoiled. We don't want to know too much. But I do know it's an escape room because this is an escape room show. So, yes. Justine, what is your escape room experience?
I love escape rooms, but I haven't had the chance to do as many as I would have liked. I've probably done somewhere in the range of 20 to 25-ish.
That's
mostly in Canada, some in the US, a few in Europe, but most recently a few in Asia as well.
Have you found those easy? Are they usually good for an English language gameplay? Occasionally you have to sort of be like, this puzzle didn't really work for me. Maybe it makes more sense in a different language.
So I've done a few. We did a couple. When I say we, I mean my husband and I. We did a few in Malaysia recently. Those were all in English, and they also had like kind of a mystery theme to them. So you did have to kind of give some sort of answer or achieve a result at the end in addition to escaping, which was really cool. I really liked that. And then the one I've done here, and by here I mean in Tokyo, it was my first bilingual room. And so that was interesting because it was bilingual in the sense that the room clues and everything in the room were bilingual. So Japanese and
they had both
English
at the same time. Okay.
At the same time. Yeah. So I think it kind of changed the kinds of puzzles they could do. But it was interesting as well because it was also 9 rooms at once that you had to make your way through. And you basically had an hour to make it through as many as you could.
Oh, right.
That's nice. That's a fun, different type of room, yeah.
Yeah, and so then you also had the chance to kind of replay if you don't make it past a certain point, which was pretty cool too. We did not make it to the end, but it was still a great experience.
They're hoping you'll come back.
Hey, listen, it's about that check.
So the other element of this show is that it's an escape room presented in a sort of tabletop role-playing style. Justine, what is your tabletop role-playing experience?
Honestly, I was brand new to kind of role-playing games in terms of tabletop versions until about a year ago, I want to say. I happened to run into a group here that wanted to try out kind of like this game, Brancalonia. It's like D&D light, for lack of a better description. It's got like no kind of very hard, intense rules like D&D. You kind of have brawls instead of combat, and like you knock people out instead of killing them.
Sure.
But it's kind of set in like kind of a medieval Italy, which is really fun, and the characters and class types are really, really, I guess, like accessible, and it's been a good ride.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful. Well, Justine, I think we're ready to go. Would you like to whisk us away?
Will do. Did you want any kind of idea about the room, or should we just jump into it?
Let's just jump it. We'll figure it out as we go.
I don't even have a title. This is
I'm going to put a title right now, but I'll just make it up. I'm just going to say The Quest for Peace.
Wow.
Right, we'll see.
That is actually super on point.
Here you go.
That's crazy.
I know everything you need to know about this
I'm
one.
just going to call mine Superman then.
It's on point in a way that it might not make sense at first, but it's relatable.
I'm on a quest for a little piece of pie. I want a little piece of it. That's my quest.
What accent is that, Billy?
An unrelated one. An unknown one. that offends no one. You tell me what accent that was.
I'm not sure. That's why I asked.
Exactly.
It was a sincere question.
Oh, I had a
I'm
piece of
sorry,
pie,
Justine.
dude.
Oh, actually, there is one thing I need from both of you.
Sure.
It's just a name. So you will have a friend in this game, and I'd like you to think of a name for your friend.
Danny, is it weird that what jumped into my head was Johannesburg?
Oh, that's
But it's a person's name?
Oh, that's
Like,
pretty
here's
wild.
my
I
friend
was still in
Johannesburg.
Italy. I was going Tarantella.
Tarantella.
Ooh,
Johannesburg
okay.
Tarantella.
Yeah, can we call our friend Johannesburg Tarantella? Just write that one down. I'll forget it. I'm not writing it anywhere.
Johannesburg talent. Okay, Johannesburg Tarantella. Okay, let me just write this down because that's going to come up a few times, and I'm gonna have to give you the full name treatment.
They're an architect.
Well, you will see. Shall we?
And they're on a quest for peace.
Not too far off. So, you and Johannesburg Tarantella have known each other
weird
for
name.
as long as you can remember. You've always been close, even when life took you in opposite directions. Despite the distance, you've done your best to keep in touch over the years, and as luck would have it, about a year ago, you finally ended up back in the same country, albeit in different cities. Being back in the same time zone has made all the difference, though. You've been chatting off and on every day like no time has passed. At least you had been, until recently. It's odd, but you haven't heard a word from Johannesburg in over a month. The messages you've sent have gone unread, your calls unanswered. You know that they've been a little busy with work lately, but still, none of your mutual friends have heard from them either, which also seems a little weird. Things got even stranger for you today. You'd gotten a knock at the door and opened it to see your neighbor. They'd handed you a brown envelope with a sheepish grin. Hey, this is for you. It must have been put in my mailbox by accident maybe like a week ago. I totally meant to give it to you sooner, but long story short, I found it stuck to a pizza box when I was taking out this week's recycling. My bad.
Do you know how rarely I get mail?
Also, just a quick note for anybody playing at home, our neighbour's name is Pete Toria.
Oh, okay.
Just to fit with the Johannesburg thing.
Okay, so clearly embarrassed, Pete left quickly with an emphatic promise to pay you back with an extra large pizza of your choice. Now, you have a good look at the envelope. So it's plain and brown with your name and address handwritten on the front. Opening it, you pull out a locket on a simple chain. And I will say this is your first inventory item.
Inventory item?
The front cover of the locket is a glass dome with a picture of a white flower inside it. Flowers aren't really your strong suit, so you're not too sure what type it is, but it's pretty, you suppose. You open the locket expecting to find a picture or an engraving, but instead a micro SD card falls out of it. You hesitate for a moment, debating what to do, but your curiosity wins out in the end. And luckily for you, your phone is old enough that it still has a micro SD card slot. So you pop it in and take a look at the contents. There's only one thing saved on it. It's a WAV file. You select it, and you are both relieved and concerned to hear Johannesburg Tarantella's stilted voice. Please listen carefully. There are numbers of things you should hear. Keep them safe. I've been stretching the truth a bit when it comes to what I do. Since you've known me, you've believed that I've been working as a professor of biology, and I have, but that's not the full story. As you know, my expertise is in plant biophysics. A few months ago, I stumbled upon a discovery that could theoretically solve the global energy crisis completely. I ran multiple tests and confirmed my findings over and over. When I was sure my data was sound, I went through the proper channels and approached the government with my information. They seemed so interested and excited about what I had found. God, I was so naive. Exactly 5 days after my visit, I arrived at my lab and found it full of suits. They were ransacking the place. They took everything, wiped my computers, destroyed my samples. They said something about maintaining the status quo and national security as they were leaving. I told them I wouldn't let them get away with that a completely green alternative to energy should be public knowledge. But they scoffed at me, told me that they have zero tolerance for insubordination and would neutralize any perceived threats accordingly. A few weeks later, my position at the university was terminated out of the blue, and now I'm sure I'm being followed. Right now, my research is my main priority, and there is no one I would trust more than you. My original notes and samples are hidden in my personal oasis, my greenhouse. I've sent my favorite necklace along with this message. It will help you discover their whereabouts. This necklace is part of a set of 3 pieces, so please keep your eyes open. The missing jewelry will be key. I didn't want you to be involved, but I felt there was no other way. Please make sure my research isn't lost. I really believe that it could change the world for the better.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm kind of relieved because if my friend stopped replying to me for a month, I definitely assume it's me.
Yeah. But it's just because they were kidnapped by government agents.
Yeah. Phew.
Now, I will say,
Load
Danny,
off.
we do have 1 piece, so we are on a quest for pieces 2 and 3. We are
So
on a quest for piece.
Oh, I see what you're going for.
Yeah, a quest for those pieces.
I was sitting back waiting. Were you just being earnest? Were you going to make a joke? Or is this a One-Piece reference that I do not understand
It's not a
yet?
One-Piece reference.
Yeah.
It's a pieces 2 and 3. It's a quest for piece
Makes
reference.
sense.
I will also send you a link to that message. It may come in handy.
Appreciate it.
full of
When it
clues.
started with please
Oh,
listen carefully.
It started with the clueiest clues I've ever heard. Please listen carefully. There are ... numbers ... of things you should hear ... and keep ... safe.
Yeah, no idea what to do with it, but
Great. Okay. So you pull to a stop in front of a house with a large apple tree in front of it, its branches drooping over a small pond. The street is fairly quiet. There's a woman across the street repairing her car, and you notice your friend's neighbor gardening in his front yard next door. Seeing you, he starts to give you a friendly wave, but on meeting your eyes, his smile wavers slightly, and he quickly goes back to pruning. As you turn towards the back gate, you catch a glimpse of yourself in the pond amidst the leaves and fallen apples bobbing in the water. Your mouth is set in a thin line and your brows are furrowed. No wonder he was startled. You're more worried than you realized. You remember your friend mentioning they were in the middle of renovating the greenhouse, but entering the back garden, you see that the exterior looks the same as it always has. A mix of reddish-brown bricks covered in ivy and metal-framed windows along the sides and roof. As you walk up the gravel path, you see that one of the double doors is already slightly ajar. It's held open by a small stone. You nudge it out of the way and you step inside. The door clicks shut behind you and you hear a loud electronic thunk. You turn back quickly, pressing on the handle, but it won't budge. It's only now that you notice the alarm system on the wall to the left of the door.
man.
Well, that definitely wasn't here last time. It must automatically engage when the door is closed. It seems like you'll need to add finding the code to the alarm system to your to-do list while you're here. You turn back to face the room, and now you may draw your room map. So the room will be sort of a portrait version of your paper, and it will be split by 2 lines horizontally. And I will describe the rooms as you enter them. So for now, we'll start in the bottom third of your paper.
Okay.
You are in the entryway of a small front room standing on a doormat. The greenhouse doors are directly behind you in the middle of the south wall.
Yeah.
To your left, there's a security alarm system attached to the wall. Next to that, there's a thermometer. A large cabinet stands next to that in the southwest corner. Built into the corner to your right, so southeast corner, you see a metal workbench. A tall wooden bookshelf sits along the east wall. The north wall consists of a large glass partition wall. So basically, 3/4 of the wall is a glass wall, and there's a small doorway near the northwest corner. All right. What would you like to take a look at first?
Now, what we are looking for, obviously we need to get out, is now a new goal.
Sure.
But also we were here to look for the other 2 parts of this locket.
Yeah.
Would it be weird, instead of looking at the room, to look again at that locket to see if there's anything more interesting about it? I think we covered it. Is it just it has the kind of dome with a little flower in it? Can we look closer at that or on it?
You can look a little closer. There's nothing much more that you can see. It does look like a pretty standard piece of jewelry. You're wondering maybe if there will be a clue to the type of flower inside.
Yes.
Well, there's plenty of things to look at, but maybe we just maybe we ignore the room entirely and see what's stopping us from going through that northwest door.
Take a look at the door?
If anything.
Okay.
Can we go to that northwest door and see if it just opens?
Oh, totally. So actually, it's a doorway. So this simple wooden frame has long, clear plastic flappies filling the doorway, like in a deli or... So, yeah, now that you're closer, you can see that some of those plastic flaps have red markings drawn on them. and you'll get
Ooh.
a picture of these red markings.
Okay. But it's not, but so basically, I know we're about to look at these red markings, but if we didn't care about the red markings, we could just
Barrel
flap
through.
it open and walk through.
Yeah, you could.
I'm not going to.
No, yeah, these red flappies I'm excited about.
All right. For people at home, you can see these in the show notes.
Whoa.
These are parts of letters.
Yeah, they're definitely parts of letters. They are just because they're red, it's a little terrifying.
It's a little serial killer. But yeah, that looks like the first one kind of looks like maybe the left part of an A or an H, then maybe the right half of an N, the middle of an O, the top of a T, the bottom of an I or an L. If you kind of like if you close your eyes and sort of zoom out, it's like Anno T this one.
But it could easily. I don't want to say too much out loud because it just gives off ritual vibes.
You don't want me to summon a demon?
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of a room.
It might say this curse is done.
This curse is done.
No, yeah, it feels like we've got enough of the letters that it feels like, oh yeah, I can complete these, and then I try, and
It's not that completable.
not as much as I.
So we'll find more clues
Yeah,
later.
not quite, yeah, and maybe some of them like mix and match together and some things, maybe, who knows? But yeah, we're in a place where we can keep looking at stuff. There's a few
Yeah, I encourage it.
things.
All right. So what would you like to look at next?
I would like to know the temperature.
Let's look at the thermometer.
Okay. So you look at the thermometer. It's an old school thermometer, so the kind with mercury in it. It's currently reading 45 degrees. That's odd. It doesn't seem to indicate whether it's supposed to be Celsius or Fahrenheit.
I think we can figure it out.
I mean, well, both of those are pretty
Are
intense.
we? Is it incredibly hot right now or quite cold?
Actually, looking closer at the thermometer, you feel like it might be broken or wrong. The temperature doesn't feel anywhere near either of those possibilities.
I would like
Fair.
to do something.
What?
I'd like to do something.
What?
I'd like to take that thermometer
Yes.
and first I would like to try clockwise and then anti-clockwise. Could I turn it 45 degrees?
You can. You have a 45-degree angled thermometer.
And
And a big smile.
Damn. I thought
No.
that was a good bit.
That's a nice change. We weren't smiling before.
Yeah, we had a furrowed brow
Yeah,
and a
this
thin
is working
mouth.
for us.
No, the thermometer doesn't seem to react if you turn it or move it in any way. And it doesn't change at all with the temperature from your hand. It's still reading at the 45-degree mark.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? That was my choice.
Okay, well, let's keep looking around. Well, we're right next to this alarm system. We saw that it went off, but if it is a goal, let's have a
Yeah, we
closer
should
look at
learn
it,
what
see
we're
what
doing with
it's
it.
like. What does the alarm
Okay.
system look like?
All right, so it looks fairly standard. It's a simple rectangular box with 0 to 9 keypad, an enter button, and a little digital readout screen.
Shall we stay in this corner and have a look at this cabinet?
Let's take a look at the cabinet.
It's a 2-door cabinet made of a tarnished green metal. It looks a little bit like someone took 2 high school lockers and stuck them together, an image that's only made stronger by the dial lock securing the doors. So you see that the lock has numbers 0 through 9 evenly spaced around its dial.
Cabinet locked. Alarm locked. Thermometer locked. Shall we check the... There's only 2 other things to check. Shall we check that workbench?
I disagree, but sure. I think there's more than that.
What do you think? And the door?
And the doormat.
And the... Oh, that's right. We have a
Come
doormat.
on.
I drew it especially. Can we have a look at the... Let's just go to doormat now.
I would love to look under that doormat and at that doormat.
And at...
It's coarse and made of some sort of natural fiber. It's definitely seen better days, though. You can see that the phrase welcome was once written across the top, but now only a few lines remain. There's also a simple picture of some flowers below the welcome sign.
Ooh.
And I will send you another picture.
All right. Ooh, looking at this doormat, it says welcome. You can clearly see it said welcome, but there's only the left stroke of the W left, the single downward stroke that is blue. The downward stroke of the L exists
which
and
is
it's red.
The sort of right,
The third stroke from the left of the M. Does that make sense
the
to everybody?
the middle right stroke of an M.
The right stroke of the tiny V that lives in the middle of an M, that's green. And the center of the E horizontally is orange.
And
And it has an
it
equal
looks,
sign.
yeah, it
next
looks
to
like once on either side there were just like decorative lines, but now it looks clearly like an equal sign. And then underneath that, we've got white flowers plus white flowers plus white flowers. I don't know if it makes a difference, but that last white flowers is flipped.
One fewer flower. Oh no, it's just flipped.
It's flipped.
I see, it's flipped. Interesting. There are 5 flowers in this picture
I
of
really
flowers.
hope that that's important, that that's flipped.
If it's
I
important.
feel good about noticing it.
So it makes me want to do, okay, the top equals that, but the top is what? Blue, red, green, orange, or one,
something
one,
like
one,
that.
sideways 1?
Yeah, no idea what to do with it yet, but this is good. This is info.
All right, it's info, but it doesn't look like it meshes straight away with the.
Yeah, when we heard partial letters, I was definitely hoping to be able
but
to
it doesn't
mush
really
it
look
with
like
that.
that's true.
No, not really. That's cool.
Okay. Don't know what to do with it by itself, but let's keep looking around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that was looking at the mat. If we lift the mat, is there anything underneath?
Oh, you find some potato bugs. They crawl away.
Okay. Let's check this bench in the corner.
Yeah, I think there's anything to look at the door that we came through
Oh,
again.
yeah,
We
okay.
struggled with it, but
All right.
maybe we didn't observe
One
it.
day we'll get to this bench, but for now, looking at the door, is there anything interesting on the door? Can we just open it? Was the alarm a lie?
The door, they're thick and wooden. So the double doors, they're thick and wooden with glass windows. You know from your earlier attempts that both doors are currently locked. Taped to one of the window panes is a large square of paper. Looking more closely, you see that it's the bottom half of a calendar. It seems to be showing the weather forecast for each day of the month. So you will also get an image of what this looks like.
Again, for people listening along at home, all these images are available to you in the show notes.
That's such a detailed calendar. This is effort.
All right, so it's a calendar. It goes from 1 to 30, so we're in one of 4 months, and a bunch of days are circled.
A lot of days are
Yeah,
circled.
like more than I would bother listing. The 1st, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 7th, the minor
major
4, the
lift.
major lift, the baffled 15, the 18. Okay, it goes on. There's a lot of them. Every day has a weather, has a temperature and a humidity. Do any of these say 45 degrees?
I don't think so. They all
No.
seem lower than that.
They all seem, so they're all lower than 45 degrees. So it's not like the thermometer was hinting to a particular day.
No.
But there's more.
Pretty brutal. Oh, there's so much more. I'm hyperventilating. There's so much more I want to use.
At the bottom in red, so matching the color that was used to circle these days, there's an asterisk and it says, check the real feel.
Real feel written like a product name.
Yeah, 2 capitals, but it's 1 word. And then it says, renovate garden bridge, where the renovate is underlined red, the garden is underlined green, and the bridge is underlined blue, which match the first letter of those words. It's RGB.
Oh, that's fun.
Red, green, blue, renovate garden bridge.
Yeah, I was
Also
seeing
matches
different
the
colors
colours
and
that
thinking
we've
about
just seen.
the welcome mat, but no, that's better.
The welcome mat should be white and maroon.
Can't
Okay.
argue with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, again, loads of information. Don't know what to do with it yet.
Yeah, check the real feel is an interesting one. Like, makes me think about the actual thermometer being relevant and renovate garden
It
bridge.
could be
red,
that
green,
there is
blue.
something for us to feel, but it's hard not to look at that and just go, crap, I didn't get that app.
All right, well, let's keep looking.
Don't worry
We're gonna
about it.
Put this piece of paper in our mental pocket.
Oh, yeah, already done.
I'll draw it in
I've
my
already drawn it.
inventory. I'll draw a little torn page.
I've drawn a door with a page stuck to it.
And
Would you
just-
like to
Yep.
skip the work table and go somewhere
let
else?
me look at my work table.
Are we finally getting to the workbench?
Yes.
All right. It's sturdy legs and polished worktop are entirely made of stainless steel. The table frame has also been fitted with 1 stainless steel drawer. So there are some LED lights that hang above the workstation. On top of the workbench, there is a healthy looking plant. There's also a tank filled with brownish looking water. And then hanging from a small hook next to the workbench is a box of stationery supplies.
All right, that's a lot of stuff, Danny. Why
That
we
was
should have
more
left
than
this
I
for last.
expected.
First things first, is the drawer openable?
It looks like it needs a small key. It's currently locked.
Okay. Wonderful. We can ignore it. What do you think next, Danny? Should we check out these stationery supplies? Like, what is it? A box that we should rummage through? Or
Honestly, I get the feeling that when we need stationery, we'll know.
what if there's a thing in there that's like
Download
If
Real
you
Feel.
want my stationery, answer me these questions 3. Which flower's white in May and blooms the wrong way every day? Like, who knows?
These LED lights that are above things, are they on? Are they doing anything?
All right, let's look at the lights.
So the long LEDs, they have the word Lumen Aid printed on them. They look like they would provide a good amount of light to the worktop if they were on. While you don't see any switches nearby, you do spot a post-it note on the light directly above the plant. It reads, "Still needs to be configured." So the lights are not on at the moment. It looks like they just need a little configuration.
Let's have a look at the plant itself.
Yeah, we know that plants are kind of important.
So it's got some long vines. They've grown up along the wall and around the steel supports of the desk. They have produced some large white flower buds. There's a small plastic label sticking out of the pot. The front of the label has a picture of the same vine in bloom, and you find the following note scrawled on the back. It says HN and then P49.
So it's a viney plant and HNP49.
And some gross water.
And some gross water. Is it just brown water? Can we stick our hand in?
Oh,
Can I make Danny stick her hand in?
Well, let's investigate first. So you're closer to the tank. You realize that the color is due to seaweed. There's a short layer of it growing at the bottom of the tank. So near the top of the tank, you also see a line drawn in black marker. It has the words Mozuku and the number 60 written above it. There is a piece of paper also taped to the front of the tank. On it is written, "Work in progress, not safe for fish."
Now, I don't want to mess with this because from what I understand about plants, seaweed is essentially the past, present, and future. It is everything.
And then anything else you want to look at here? There was also...
I'm happy to leave
that's
it
pretty good.
leave it holistically.
Last look at the bookshelf before we move to the next room.
Yes.
Oh,
First
yeah,
off,
okay.
looking at the bookshelf as a whole, and then maybe some specific plant book searching.
So the top 2 shelves are crammed with a variety of different books. So skimming through the titles, you see books on all kinds of subjects. Plants, weather. It looks like there's a wealth of information here if you need it. So I will say the bookshelf can be used as kind of like a hint resource. So if you need something, you can go to the bookshelf and ask about it, and I will let you know if you've got a book and give you a hint. On another shelf, you find a basket with some fish food inside it. And next to the basket, you find one heavy-duty gardening glove, which you can add to your inventory. And there is one more shelf. So the bottom shelf holds a collection of some terracotta plant pots. Unlike the shelf with the books, these are actually pretty well organized. You see a stack of 4 brown pots, then a stack of 2 green pots, 1 white pot, and a stack of 3 black pots.
More colors.
All right, let's look at the glass partition.
The base of the wall, it's made of brick, and the large multi-paned window on top of it reaches all the way to the ceiling. The window looks like it would provide a really great view of the garden and pond in the room next door. But unfortunately, the high humidity in the next room has caused the glass to fog up. So you can make out a few vague shapes over there, but that's about it. Near the base of the window, you do see a piece of crumpled paper. You pick it up, and it's a flyer for a local pizza place, you figure. It's got a selection of the most popular pizzas listed on the front, and there's one circled. It's called the Baked and Briny. The description reads, "This is a pie for salt lovers everywhere. Enjoy onions, spinach, and triple the anchovies baked on our classic tomato sauce."
Interesting. I did not catch all of those ingredients.
Onion, spinach, triple the anchovies, and a tomato sauce.
Okay, so O-S... T-S?
Yep.
I want to lower my head and skull bash through the flappies.
You want to go through the door into the next section?
I'm ready to go through.
Sure.
You kind of skull bash, but daintily. You poke your head through the plastic flappies, and you look into the pond room. Directly below you, so in that southwest corner of that room, there's a short staircase that leads down into the central area of the greenhouse. So it's kind of a sunken green. Bolted to the wall of the staircase is a holder with a garden hose. Stretching between the northwest-southeast corners is an hourglass-shaped pond. Around the edges of the pond are some flower beds. And there is a tall waterfall in the center of the north wall that churns the pond's waters.
Water, it's not chocolate, right?
To be determined. And crossing the pond's narrowest point is a short bridge.
And it's wooden, not chocolate, right?
To be determined. The entire south wall of the room, so as you walk down, that south wall kind of becomes a sunken half wall. There's a mosaic on it. And then there's a second staircase in the northeast corner that leads up to the sunroom. And then next to this staircase is a small bench.
All right. So we have steps down into our little sunken greenhouse.
I mean, my first instinct is to see what can we do with this, the fogged glass that was fogged from one side.
No, Danny, before we do that,
What?
what's on the back of the plastic flaps? Now that
Oh,
we're on
that's
the other
fair.
side.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
it's
fair.
the other half of the
We're just going to
lettuce.
turn around and keep re-examining everything
turn
we've already
around
examined.
and-
This is fair.
Fall off the
I will
staircase.
say that those plastic flappies are clear.
Yeah.
So it's just
Not
the
much.
reverse of what you saw.
All right. Okay.
They were written on from the other side.
All right. So you want to check the back of the glass? It's just fog, isn't it?
Maybe we can wipe fog away.
That's true.
You try wiping it because you can, the wall goes up to that little doorway. So you stick a little hand on it, but it just kind of fogs up again. It's really
Sure.
humid in here.
So we need to drain the lake. Well, we can head down the stairs. I'm assuming, is there anything to note with the stairs? Like every time we step down, do they make a different piano note, or are they just human stairs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, so you step down onto the first step and crack. You hear the steps creak loudly and bend beneath your foot. You quickly hop to the bottom and turn back to take a look. Sure enough, one of the iron rusty steps has bent and twisted in on itself, creating a small hole. As you review the damage, you happen to see something glinting in the darkness below. Crouching for a closer look, you see that it's a ring. It must have fallen through the holes at some point.
Jewelry.
Yeah, your hand is a bit too big to fit in the hole, but you do notice that the metal step is screwed in place by 4 screws, 2 on each side.
Great.
Okay, we need a screwdriver. We use the micro SD card.
No, okay, that's good to know. If we need to, I'm going back to that stationary door and doing whatever I can there, but I'll look for an actual screwdriver first.
So you are down the stairs at this point. You've looked at the staircase. What would you like to look at next?
Well, we're next to a giant mosaic.
I'd love to look at the mosaic.
Let's have a look at this mosaic.
Its blue and green pattern is beautiful, but somewhat abstract. It's reflected in the rippling pond, making the water look like a kaleidoscope.
What
All right, for
do
people at
we
home, you
have?
can see this
Ooh.
mosaic. Oh, okay, so it's like blue and green. Oh, they look like letters, right? Like it ends with ES.
It does. I see what you mean. But what would that be? Fifeys?
Fifey.
It's not quite something yet, but
And
it's
then
getting
there's
there.
these little green plant images, these sort of pink, hearty, diamondy, flowery, ruby-ish images.
I noticed it was reflecting in the pond. Is that
Yeah.
better? Yes, it is.
Why?
Yes. Picture that. Reflected. That doesn't
Oh.
say Fifeys.
It says 7.
No,
No, what does it say?
reflecting down like it's in the. Like you're
Oh,
looking
it
down the
says
water.
lilies.
Yes.
Lilies.
Hmm.
Okay, so that says lilies.
Great.
If
Yeah.
we reflected it.
I do know that lilies can be white flowers. This is promising.
Danny, what's next?
I mean, I don't know what's taken you so long. There was a bench, wasn't there?
So you can cross the bridge and get to the bench on the other side. Do you want to look at the bridge on your way?
I want to ignore everything on my way.
Eyes
Blinders on.
closed.
So you tiptoe blindly across the bench.
Saying la 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 so I don't hear any other cracks.
Okay, so the bench, it runs the length of the staircase. Its base is made from solid concrete, but the bench seat is made from a wide plank of finished wood. You notice built-in hinges running along the edge near the wall, so it must double up as storage. There's also a really nice plush pillow sitting on it. And so I will send you the picture for the pillow.
All right, so we have 2 sides of a pillow, everybody. On the front, we have a 3x3 grid of what are those? I used to know the term. There's a term for the button that you stick into a pillow.
Tufting, like tufting buttons.
Tufting buttons. That's it. Yes. There's a series of 3x3 grid of tufting buttons, some of which have colours inside them. Top left is blue, the top middle is purple, then red, then no colour, then yellow right in the centre, orange, green, nothing.
You say nothing, just to be clear, these ones that have nothing
They're
are
white.
plain white.
Yeah, that's fair, they're white. And then each of them have like
coloured lines
coloured
connecting
strings
things.
connecting them. So the blue has like a blue line that goes down to the white one below it, a purple line going across to the purple one, a purple one going diagonally to the yellow one. It seems interesting and confusing.
Yeah, this is not something that I feel like I can look at right now. Everything is connected to everything else next to it as far as I can tell.
Yes.
So everything is connected to things to its sides, above, below, and diagonal from it. In differing colours.
Quite a lot of connections. What's on the other side, Danny?
Made in Canada, upside down.
Yep, just says made in Canada and it's upside down.
I just saw that red and orange were connected by a yellow line, and I wondered if that was something, but then red and purple are connected by a yellow line as well. So
Yeah, and like the white button on the left is connected via blue to both a blue and a green.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem to have like an emergent solution, but maybe a pattern we can learn might help.
Still, but yeah, maybe there'll be something.
All right. Pillow on a bench. And the bench doesn't open. Like you said, it could open, but does it open if we try?
It could. It's pretty firmly closed, so you can't heave it open.
Sure. All right, lovely. Shall we look at this bridge that we crossed?
Okay, that's only fair.
The bridge shows some signs of wear and tear, so you're a little apprehensive about stepping onto it, although you did. The wooden slats are distressed, and the once polished wooden handle has seen better days. The handrail itself is connected to the deck of the bridge by a series of long iron spindles. You kind of run your hands along those spindles, and you almost lose balance as one spindle just flies out completely. It looks like it's only connected by one screw at the top, as opposed to two, one in the top and one in the bottom.
Can we remove it just by hand? Or do we need a screwdriver? I
With
use
a
the
few
micro
hard-
SD card.
It's super loose and warped, and so with a few hard twists, you remove it from the top screw, and now you have a really long iron rod at your disposal.
Like that.
Can we cheat the other puzzle and use this to get the ring?
You absolutely can, actually, if you like. Would you like to?
Let's do it. Let's get that ring.
All right. Oh, this is a level of freedom that frightens me, but okay, I can adapt.
Okay, so you head back to that staircase and you make it quick work. You kind of dent in that hole and you can pull out that dusty ring. So the ring is sculpted in the shape of a flower blossom, and it is the same flower as the one on your necklace.
Nice.
So this must be part of the set. The ring itself, it's kind of 3D sculpted, so the flower is really standing high on that band.
Okay. That feels like kids' spy movie. We're gonna put it on our finger, make a fist, and stick it into a perfectly sculpted hole for it at some point.
We can punch someone in the face and leave an impression.
Yes.
Like the Phantom.
This is progress.
And you do still have your iron rod, if it comes in handy at some point later.
Well, there's still more to look at.
Yeah, while we're here, should we see if this hose was any help? Could this hose have been used to make the ring float to the top of some water if we flooded the inner stair area? I assume not.
I have no memory of a hose. When did we find our hose?
It's next to the stairs.
All right.
Let's look at the hose. It's currently coiled around its holder, so that's bolted to the wall. The other end is fitted with a tap. And when you turn on the tap, you see that the hose works to a point. It expands a little, but then the water starts to flow out of two holes.
Ugh.
So unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the hose can be used at this current point. You might need to fix it first.
You know what's good for fixing holes and things?
Sticky tape.
Stationery.
Can we go to the stationery drawer and find some sticky tape?
So yeah, you head back to that stationery drawer. It is a pretty standard box of like office supplies. So you do have pens, pencils, markers, like a ruler, paper clips, some thick rubber bands, and an eraser, some scissors, but you don't find any duct tape.
All right. So the hose doesn't work yet, but that's okay. The pond itself, can we look into the pond before looking at the flowers around it? Is there anything interesting in the pond?
Yeah, so the pond is beautiful. You can see that this part has been renovated. There's some nice rocks and things, and it's mossy. And there are also 3 large koi swimming in the pond.
Ooh.
The 3 koi, one is small, and white with small black patches. The next one is more medium-sized and it's bright yellow. And the biggest is black with large red markings.
Okay. That feels important. Didn't we have fish food?
We did have fish food.
Can we feed them some fish food?
Do you want to
Totally,
make these koi
yeah.
fat?
Yes.
You gonna eat them?
Well, let's
No.
take a look.
Yeah, okay.
So you go back to the fish food and you take a look at the contents, and I will send you some things. More daunting than it will appear.
This is fancy food.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's-
That is pretty daunting.
Before we get into the fish food, I just want to say you don't really know what you're looking for, but you see a few things and you shake them into the pond. And before you can blink, the largest fish has swum over to you where you are on the bridge, eaten all of the food before the other two could take a bite and swim back to its little area. So you're fairly certain that they're hungry, but you might need to find a way to separate that big one from the others before you feed them.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah. So for people at home, you can have a look at all these images, and you can see that there's a selection of little foods. There's
They're
a
much more
there's a
normal
weird little
groceries.
garlic
That is a
container.
smiling garlic.
It's going, hey, I'm garlic. How
There's
are
garlic
you?
in me.
I
Open me
love
up
being
and find
garlic.
out.
Then there's some apples, some grapes, some Fruit Loops, and some cauliflower. And then the other one has all these different like labeled
This is
containers.
much more fishy.
Yeah, much more more baity, or like herring, squid, krill,
Mm.
dried kelp, shrimp, worm meal, soy meal, anchovy, and they've each got nutrition facts of their various levels of like calories, cholesterol, protein, vitamins.
Definitely something to say. Hopefully we are going to know what we're looking for and what our
No,
goals
I'm
are.
not going to go through all these now. They will be related to something else
lot.
later.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. What about all of the flower beds and things around the pond?
So you take a look at some of the flower beds. You try the northwest corner first. You see that it doesn't seem to be quite finished yet. So there are just a few shallow holes in the ground, and next to them, stuck upright in a pile of dirt, is a broken shovel. It's kind of a strange break, though. So normally the top of a shovel handle is like a triangle, like this.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, an upside down triangle. But the sort of horizontal bar at the top is missing. So it's like a big stick with a Y at the end.
Okay.
And above the unfinished flower bed, you notice some more unusual markings in red on the wall.
That's what we like.
Ooh, okay. So this is the rest of the
Surely.
stuff that was on the
Surely.
northwest door.
Okay, can you open both of those two together?
Okay. So that first one is a K.
Didn't expect a K.
So it's this feels
Then an N.
then an N, then an O,
That looks pretty O.
then
T.
it's a TT.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh no.
then an H.
Yep. I
then an I,
S.
then an S, then an
O,
O,
N,
then
E.
an N, then an E.
And then an arrow pointing right.
So what does that say?
It says not this one, but with a K for the not.
Not this one. And the arrow is pointing right. Is the arrow if we
Pointing
follow
at a
it-
flap?
Is it pointing at anything in particular?
Yeah, so you go back to those flappies and piecing them together, you're looking through. You do see that the arrow is pointing vaguely at a space in the middle of the waterfall.
In the middle of the waterfall.
We haven't dived into that waterfall yet.
Let's have a look at the waterfall.
So the waterfall, it's definitely the focal point of the room. So from what you can see, it must be flowing from somewhere near the glass ceiling. From its base, there's a cloud of mist wafting up into the air, maintaining the high humidity. It's water, so you stick your hand through it, and you do feel kind of a different material. Rather than the tiles on the walls around you, it's made of wood. Unfortunately, the waterfall is still flowing, so you can't really see any more details other than that.
Now, maybe there's a knot in the wood that we need to... But presumably we would have to stop the water before we could do that? Or
Looks like it. Looks like it. I
All
mean,
right.
she's got a pretty nice pond set up here. She must have some sort of utility space.
Makes sense.
Well, let's get out of this.
Yeah, this is
Dumb
clearly
room for losers.
the meditation, just be happy in this space sort of room. We're not going to find function here.
No.
The next one has got to be the industrious room, right?
Into the final room.
So should we go up the other set of stairs?
Let's do it.
I will say there is one more flower bed that I want to get to.
Oh,
That map.
good point. We never finished checking the flower beds.
Yes.
Shall we double check
That makes sense.
the rest of the flower beds?
Only other flower bed that catches your eye is something that's different. You realize that it's actually an herb garden. So you can smell all of these aromatic herbs. Seems to be doing well. There's a bunch of leafy greens here and there, some pots and in a small bed, but they're not labeled. But you do smell some that you can recognize.
The north, we checked the south wall had the mosaic of this section. There was nothing on the north wall behind the waterfall.
So the north wall is open to the sunroom. It's like a little fenced wall.
Oh, beautiful. Well, let's go into that sunroom.
You can see down. Yeah. So you're going up the staircase, and the staircase itself seems to have been renovated quite recently. There are some colored tiles inlaid on each step, and they look brand new. They seem to have been arranged in a nice pattern, you notice.
Oh, okay. So for people at home, again, you can see this as always, but there are 4 steps, each of which has 4 colors on it.
Yeah, they're like a flag with vertical tricolors, except there's
The
4
vertical
of them.
quad color.
Tetracolor.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them are some variant of black, white, green, and brown. Just those colors in a different order.
Which were the colors that we saw in the bookshelf.
Oh, the plant.
4
the
brown.
pots.
So we have in that pot, right? The pot plant stuff. We have 4 brown, 2 green, 1 white, 3 black. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be what tiles to step on as we go up the stairs.
Maybe.
Could we? Presumably, we'll try both ways, but let's start where 1 is the bottom stair.
Yeah.
Can we step on the bottom stair, number 1, the white, then on number 2, the green, then on number 3, the black, and then on number 4, the brown?
So as soon as you step on that last brown tile on the last step, you hear a loud creak to your left. Looking over the handrail, you see that the lid of the bench has popped open.
Oh, beautiful.
Good thinking.
And I'm going to close this image. Isn't that a joyous occasion? We get to keep control of our tabs.
I've ticked something off.
Ticking them off.
On my notes.
We jump into the bench.
Yes, okay. So the bench. You push the lid open and you peer inside. You find, strangely, a deep metal trough with a large hole in the side. It's tall, up to your knees, let's say. You also find a heavy-duty gardening glove.
Another one.
Ooh.
Does it match the other one?
It does. You have a nice pair now.
Okay. Now, so there was a hole in the trough. Is it like a pole-shaped hole that we could take our metal pole and jab it in?
So think of like maybe like 1 meter by maybe half a meter wide trough. It's about up to your knees in height. The hole is near like the bottom. So it's a big enough hole that if you tried to fill it with water, it would drain out. But it's also, you notice, taller than the water level of the pond.
That's curious. Well, yeah, I don't know what we're looking for there, unless what our goal is to use this to catch big fishy. We have a fish container that we can put in the water to keep him separated but still alive, but we still need to get him into it.
Can we do that with the food that he tried to steal? Can we feed him some fish food?
Oh, just give him any food that he wants and just grab him, or what's...
He came and ate the food before. Can we put some fish food there so the fish starts eating and then take the trough over there and scoop and try and catch the fish?
There may be an easier way. I mean, presumably, if possible, she might have other equipment that might help.
All right, we'll find it. Let's keep looking then. Let's go into the next room.
Yes, let's do it. Let's have seen everything soon.
So you're in the third part of this room. You step up from that staircase and into the sunroom. And this room has been fully renovated. So you see that it's vaguely U-shaped with points overlooking the pond on the west and east sides of the waterfall. So those little half walls there. And it's connected by that long hallway at the back. So to your immediate left on that inner wall of that U, there's a poster. And directly in front of you, in the northeast corner, is a cacti and succulent garden.
Okay.
In the center of the north wall, there is a chaise lounge that rests in front of a wide curtain. In the northwest corner, there is a small palm grove, like palm tree grove. And in that far end of the U, on the opposite side, opposite the palm grove, there is a small Japanese rock garden with a fountain.
All right.
Now, Knowing me and
Knowing
knowing
you.
what I do in real life, I'm definitely going to accidentally touch a cactus. So let's at least, I would say, go to the cactus and succulent area so that I know what I'm in for.
All right.
So there are cacti and succulents of all shapes and sizes and colors. There is one huge cactus in particular that quite literally stands out among the group. It's a towering pillar, arms and trunk covered in long spines.
Yes.
And swaying around the crown are some more spiky cacti. They're hanging from some hanging baskets. And as you look up, you see a small glint on the ceiling, which is a little high. It's hard to make out.
A likely story. We have a rod.
This ceiling is much taller than you can reach with your rod, unfortunately.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. There's a glint on the ceiling. There's a big tall cactus, and floating around him are other cactuses.
Maybe at some point, whatever is on the ceiling will fall down among the cactuses, and we'll need to dive in to get
I
it.
love it. Well, for now, we don't need to do that. Let's have a look at this poster first.
Sure.
All right. It appears to be laminated, likely to protect it from the humidity. It's titled Flower of the Month. And on it, you see the name of each month, as well as the name and image of the particular flower associated with it.
All right, we have a bunch of flowers, a carnation, an iris, a daffodil, a daisy, a lily of the valley, and a rose.
A water lily. A poppy. An aster. Cosmos. I don't know that one. Chrysanthemum and holly.
So
where's that
lilies
picture? Yeah.
is relevant
There are
because
a
there are
couple of
two
lily
lilies,
types.
a lily of the valley and a water lily, May and July.
Those are both 31-day months. Outrageous.
All right. So we have flower poster.
I do like that said lilies, and we had two lilies on
That
this.
is nice.
This is good. We're getting somewhere.
Let's keep looking around.
I guess so. Shall we take a look at this curtain and sweep it aside?
Yeah, let's ignore the chaise longue. And let's look at the curtain.
All right. So it's a thick floor-to-ceiling curtain hanging behind the chaise, presumably in front of a large window. It's currently drawn closed, so this room is a little dimmer than the others. And so you can kind of poke your head around the curtain, and you do see that there's something behind it. On the window ledge behind the curtain, there is a small book.
Ooh, we steal it.
Yeah, a small book. It's called Avoiding Strange Koi Incidents, a guide to caring for koi.
Okay, that feels useful.
So you pick up the book. You do also notice that this curtain, it's really heavy. So you try to kind of yank it across to get the window open, but it's a little stiff. The rings are a little too high and it's a little awkward. Okay. But you do notice sort of an empty sort of ring at the top of the curtain.
Ooh.
If you could kind of hook that with something long.
Like a long pole?
Like a long pole. You could draw it.
Well, let's use our long pole.
Well, your long pole is useful. It doesn't have a hook to hook into that circle. But it does have a little screw hole, so maybe you'll find a hook somewhere.
All right. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe there's one holding those plants up.
What if one of the fish has a hook in its mouth?
That'd be pretty sad. Shall we look at the lounge as well?
No, I can't go on.
Let's look at the lounge.
Okay, the lounge? All right.
Let's do it.
There are 3 settings for the seat back of this chair. You do see that the seat back can be completely horizontal, completely vertical, or
45 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees, put it 45 degrees, ignore the others.
Okay, so, Bill pushes Danny aside, leaps into the chaise lounge, sets it at 45 degrees, and you know what? You sink really comfortably into those cushions. Super relaxing. From this angle, you have a perfect view of the cactus and succulent garden in that northeast corner. You also have a better view of the ceiling above the garden, and you notice that there's an empty hook up there.
Ooh.
It looks like it had been supporting something heavy and couldn't really bear the weight. So it's angled, and it looks like it could fall with a little bit of assistance. If you had something to knock it down with.
Yeah, that's pretty high, and I don't...
Can we go to the rock garden and grab rocks?
That's a great idea. I was just going to say everything in my inventory so far is very precious to me, and I don't want to get rid of it. But rocks, right. I hate rocks.
So yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look at that like rock garden area.
That's a good idea. Let's not disturb the pattern yet. It might be important.
So it's simple but pretty. There are a few large rocks that are breaching a sea of white pebbles that have been raked into just waves and swirls. The big rocks are distinctly unique, but the pebbles are oddly uniform in size and shape. In fact, you wouldn't hesitate to bet that they are all exactly the same. They remind you a little bit of like BB ammo.
Huh.
Okay. Is that throwable, or we need something to fire it if we want to try and hit that hook?
You can attempt to throw, but it's a little difficult. Your aim's a little off. You can't quite get as much sort of force behind your throw.
I know why.
Something to help focus your aim.
Great, I'm fine.
What?
There are two things we need.
Yeah.
One, we go back to the stationary area, we grab some rubber bands. That's the first step.
And some pens?
No.
No?
And the
the
Y-shaped
broken trowel.
shovel handle.
Oh my
and
god.
we make a slingshot with a Y-shaped handle and a bunch of rubber bands, and we fire some rocks.
I love it.
All right. So here we go. By knotting a thick rubber band around that broken handle of the shuttle, you've fastened yourself a pretty nifty slingshot. You haven't done this since you were a kid, so it takes a few tries before your shots are anywhere near accurate enough. But eventually, hit it you do. Unfortunately, instead of falling to the floor, it gets caught in those long spines of that
Yeah, it does.
Big glove.
I'm ready for this. This is
All
my
right.
time to shine.
We put those gloves on.
Well, do you each take one, or does one person jumping in there?
Danny puts both gloves on.
I put both gloves on.
And then
I
I
say,
have to get the thing.
I say for Johannesburg, and then you push me, I assume.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so you feel a lot more secure with those gardening gloves.
Oh, yeah.
The sturdy fabric protects your hands and arms, and you grab that hook. What do you do with it?
We put it on the end. We screw it. Does it have a little screw attachment? Can we
It
screw it to the end of our
does.
pole?
Yeah, it does.
We attach it to our pole and we open the curtain.
All right. Yeah, you've got a nice looking like drawing rod. You tug on that hook and it fits perfectly. It's more than long enough to reach that empty ring. You slide the curtain over, revealing a large arched bay window, and the window lets a stream of light onto the room, and it's reflecting off of the tiled wall opposite the room. So opposite the sheds, that long tiled wall there.
Yes, that classic tiled wall that I remember so well.
So in the light, you notice something strange happening to that opposite wall. The tiles are slowly blossoming into different colors, almost like a large-scale Polaroid.
Ooh, fun.
Oh, my.
Yeah, they're reacting to the light. So you take a look at the rainbow of color in front of you on that wall, and as beautiful as it is, it also appears to be functional. It looks like some sort of chart. There are small numbers on the tiles and labels along the left and bottom edges, and the word humidex has appeared at the very top of the page. Before I send that image of that wall, there's one more thing to note. So there is a large palm tree in the palm grove, and its palm frond is now casting a shadow on the wall.
It's shadow. We haven't even looked at that palm tree area yet, but let's
let's
have a look at this we hadn't looked at the tiles either, but now we can see them.
Everything at once.
But let's look at these new tiles. Okay, it is a humidex. On the left, it says relative humidity.
That's
going
the
from-
y-axis.
On the y-axis, 20 at the bottom, 100 at the top.
As a percent.
On the x-axis, we have temperature in degrees Celsius, anything from 21 to 43. And then we get a result on our humidex that is either blue, green, orange, or red.
So yellow, but okay.
Yellow. Now, we could check, for example, checking the real feel of our various days in the calendar. Just for an example, number 1, Sunday, 26 degrees Celsius,
Oh, is
60% humidity.
So is this how they like calculate those things of here's what the temperature is, here's what it feels like because of the humidity?
That's it.
So,
and real feel, just a fun fact, is what it's called in Canada.
Oh my god, okay.
So Sunday the 1st, 26 degrees, 60%.
Okay.
That would be 26 degrees. 60% would be a real feel of 32
Yeah.
degrees.
Now,
Now,
what-
how many of these real feels do we want to check?
Yeah, what does
Because
this mean
we
for
could get one for
us?
every circled day to check the real
But
feel.
that's a lot.
But that is a lot.
Having someone work on this in the background may not be a bad idea.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh, interesting.
We still have Renovate Garden Bridge.
RGB, 3 of the colours that are on this Humidex.
That's a good point.
Check the real feel. Well, Danny, I'll leave you to, maybe you should write down whether they're red, green, or blue temperatures.
I will.
I'll leave you to work on this, Danny, while I get more information about the rest of this room.
Okay.
By asking, we never looked at these palm trees in the palm garden. Can we have a look up there in the northwest corner?
You make your way over to the small palm grove. There's quite a large variety here. The whole corner is filled with fronds and leaves. There is one palm tree that has grown to have that canopy right over the chaise, and that's currently the one that has its shadow on the wall. And as you kind of poke your head here and there around the palm grove, you see that there's a green pole stuck in the ground. And you follow it up with your eyes, and it's actually the end of a long fishing net.
Ah, well, that'll help. Now, obviously, there's something we can do with the fishing net, but before I do that, what is up with this palm shadow?
A very stark contrast made by that shadow against the brightness of those colored tiles. And you see that the tip of the palm frond lands squarely on the center of one tile. It's only now in the light that you notice that this is the only tile on the wall with different colored grout around it.
Oh, is it possible to remove the tile? Maybe if I grab some scissors from the stationery drawer?
Yeah, so you decide, you feel it, you touch it, and you realize that it's not a tile at all. It's a metal cover that's been painted to look like one. So you actually can just flip it up, and it reveals a touch screen. And as you look at it, you realize that it kind of looks similar to the pattern security lock you have on your phone. It's a 3x3 grid of evenly spaced white dots.
Oh, like on the pillow.
Mm.
So basically, like on a phone, you would start from one dot and you would swipe from dot to dot in some kind of pattern. So presumably I now want to follow a particular color, or do any of the dots at the moment look any different? There wouldn't be a clear starting dot, would there?
They're all white, but you can trace a line experimentally if you like.
I pick the top left and I sort of zigzag my way to the bottom.
Sure, yeah. So you do that, and the dots turn bright blue as they're connected one by a line of the same color. When you remove your finger, the screen beeps and flashes red. So of course that pattern wasn't right, but the line was blue.
If I go back to one that was blue and touch it a second time, so say start in the top left, go right one and then back left one and then maybe right one again, do they change color again?
No, they're always blue.
Okay. Well, clearly I have to learn a pattern from that pillow. Danny, how are you going with this series of Humidex numbers?
I believe I have finished them all.
So you've basically taken those dates that were circled and you've got new Humidex temperatures.
That is correct.
Anything interesting, or do they feel like just an arbitrary set of new numbers?
At the moment, just from looking at them, I can't tell anything exciting.
Okay. Any of them 45 degrees?
No.
Yeah, that's not on the Humidex, I think. Oh, no, there's
They're
definitely
almost
45.
all even numbers.
Okay.
That's actually wild. What did you say just got you a blue line, sorry?
So we have a 3x3 grid.
Yeah, on a phone
that we can,
thing.
Like a phone. So, and if anytime we select one, they turn blue, effectively.
A dot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, so I'm thinking there must be a pattern to these. Like, if we followed the blue lines on the pillow, that's sort of doable. We could try and follow that blue line pattern.
We could follow the blue line pattern, I suppose. That's one way of doing it.
But I'm going to note that this is upside down because when we look at the back, Made in Canada is upside down. So could I start from the top left rather than what looks like the bottom right on the pillow, but I'm flipping it upside down in my head. So on the top left, could I go down one, diagonally up and right one, then right, then down, then down?
You can, and it beeps red. That doesn't seem to be correct.
But it was blue and I followed the blue.
Yeah,
Okay.
You did. You feel good about the color. You feel good about the color. Maybe the pattern was off?
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip the pillow in my head, but I'm going to start from what was the top left, now the bottom right.
Oh,
So I'm just
okay,
going to do
that
the same.
makes-
The
gotcha.
first thing I did backwards, but
I
with the
prefer
flipped
that.
orientation. I think because it starts blue, I wasn't sure if that was an end point or a start point, but now let's do it like a start point.
I think that makes
So
more
from
sense.
the bottom right, can I go up twice, left once, down and left, and then up?
So you insert that code, you trace that blue pattern from the pillow, and the light flashes green. You hear a metallic thunk, and you see that there's now a large rectangular outline in the tiles to your right. It's a hidden door. You push on in, and it swings open. And if you like, you can pop your head into the secret room, the utility room.
Nah, who needs to?
Been waiting for a utility room.
Let's pop our head in.
I'd love
All
to.
right. This room is very cramped and small. On entering, your ears are filled with the loud rumble of rushing water. So at the top of the wall you're facing, so on your sheet, that will be the south wall, there are a row of glass blocks near the ceiling, so you can see that it's directly behind the waterfall, this room.
Nice.
Directly opposite the door, you see a metal utility box tucked into a niche in the wall. And on the other side of the niche, so to the left, there is a small metal shelf. And attached to the wall above the shelf is some kind of control panel.
That's a lot of things.
The shelf seems the easiest to look at with
That's
our eyes.
fair.
Is there anything on the shelf?
So it's an industrial shelving unit. You see some nondescript bottles and containers. In a box, you spot a large roll of duct tape. And tucked away on the lowest shelf, you find one thigh-high wading boot.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, great. So duct tape is good. We wanted that.
We can fix the hose.
Love
Don't
it.
yet know what we want to fill with the hose.
Well, now
The
that we've
tank-
got a wading boot, I want to fill everything with the hose. There's a reason this garden was recessed, right?
Can we now look at the control panel?
I love the thought of her now having just an indoor swimming pool, but the control panel, it seems fairly modern. There are a few wires plugged into ports on the side, and it has a large digital display with a clear plastic cover. The display is currently blank, but on touching the screen, it comes to life. A logo flashes across it saying Luminade, when life gives you lumens. The screen fades to black, then fades back in. A large color picker is now taking up 3/4 of the display, like one of those kind of hex color pickers that you can. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Now-
Yes.
This would operate the lights that we found in the first room in the bottom right corner, but we don't know what we want to set them to.
Not yet.
Most of the screen is that color picker. On the left, there's a small side panel with 3 text boxes labeled R, G, and B. So there is some hover text on the color picker. Right now it reads white. And in R, G, and B, there is the number 255 in each of those.
Which to me implies that the
things-
calendar that said RGB is
Yeah.
going to get us the numbers. When you were looking at those final humidroflex numbers,
Yep.
was there only one red one and only one green one
No,
and only one blue one?
Definitely not.
Could we add up all of the reds,
It's-
all the greens, all the blues?
it's
Did you
not
note
impossible.
which was which color?
I did note which was which color. That might take me a moment, but I
Maybe
certainly
that's worth it.
could.
We could add all the greens together.
God, I hope I
And then
didn't
get a
miss
number
any.
for
I'm,
green.
if whatever I come up with doesn't work, just try like 1 or 2 either side
Sure.
because my column picking may.
Well,
not
I'll
have
let
been
you add
perfect.
those up for a second.
Yep.
While I have a look.
There is a
at-
calculator right next to me, but
Too
I will
bad.
resist.
While I have a look at the utility box.
So the utility box, it's wide and squat with metal hinges and metal doors. And based on the dull hum coming from inside, it feels safe to assume that it must be powering a few things in the greenhouse. Its rusty doors are shut. They're locked with a 4-digit combination lock.
Oh, we have so many digit locks that we have not done it. This.
Yep.
Do you remember there's 2 lockers in the first room that are locked? Or a double locker
Oh
at
yeah,
least?
I've got a picture of that lock
What
still.
the heck? Okay.
I'm hoping that will all snowball. I believe I've got my summed up numbers, and based on the fact that they all started at 255, the numbers that I got feel promisingly close to that. So
Let's
that's
set 'em.
something.
What am I setting the
All
red
right.
to, Danny?
God, I'm confident in my adding. I am not confident in my table reading. So if there are mistakes, that's where it is. I'm quite sure. So I got red 251,
Done.
green 210,
Set it.
and blue 168.
As you change each number, the cursor on that color picker has jumped around a bit, finally landing on a creamy, slightly yellowish off-white. The hover text near the cursor now reads Moonlight White. That's a color, and it seems promising. So
it does feel promising. I feel relieved. I'm going to go with that.
Confirm.
There's a loading icon that pops up, and the message Luminade configured flashes across the screen.
Brilliant.
That is something. Love it. Did you ever read that koi book?
No, I never read the koi book.
God.
Shall we?
Let's take a look at the koi book. So, you've got a big book, seems to cover everything you might possibly need to know about koi. So you read the table of contents. It says Physiology, Appearance, and Healthcare, page 1. Koi pond design and construction, page 22. Buying koi, page 47. Feeding koi, page 55.
Let's go to page 55.
Hold on.
The last one was breeding koi, page 62.
That's interesting. There are 3 koi in this
I don't
pond.
want to. Let's feed this koi.
Did you find a net? Did I hear
Yeah,
you
yeah,
find
we
a
got
net?
a net.
We've got it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
We go to feeding koi, and I will send another little document.
All right. For people at home, you can see this, but oh boy, Danny, you ready to read
this
about
is great.
feeding koi?
This is going to be good and logic puzzled. Feeding koi. Best practices.
Danny?
How to feed your koi.
This document is too long for you to maintain this voice. Go for it.
Start with one primary protein that is high in nutritional value.
This has big Nancy Drew energy.
I think I'm trying to do Amadeus Arkham.
Oh, yeah, I can hear that. Not your voice. I meant the document.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, totally. Like making food for an animal, that is
very,
100% Nancy Drew.
Blackmore Manor.
Yeah. Once in a while, it's nice to give your koi one tasty treat, e.g. fruits, vegetables, and or grains. Be sure to break any larger food items into smaller pieces for easier digestion. Food shape. We've got 3 food shapes, flake, pellet, or bar, which are good for different sized fish.
Small, average, and great, respectively.
Every koi has its own individual tastes. Enjoy getting to know your koi and learning about their likes and dislikes. Feel free to use the notes section below to keep track of fun facts you learn. And I assume that this part here is slightly more handwritten because we have some notes about 3 different fish.
Hi Utsuri will eat almost anything, but she likes salty proteins best, only eats fruit as a treat, loves to chase and eat food as it sinks. Kigoi loves shellfish. Per the vet, he needs to stick to a low cholesterol diet, enjoys wheat products as a treat, and Shirobekko prefers vegetables as a treat, really likes when her foods match in color, can easily recognize her favorite treat by smell.
Okay. Now, identifying which fish be which.
Which fish be which?
Shirobekko, the white one?
Yes.
One of the books in the bookshelf was a Japanese translation, but I'm going to try to skip it. I don't know what kigoi means.
That could be yellow. Yellow's kiroi.
Damn, I saw
But it's
Hi
ki-iroi,
Utsuri,
so
and
like
I was going, is that like the sun?
Yeah, it could be. And then Hi Utsuri. No idea. He like fire, like sun. He like the
That
sun.
was what I was going
and-
for.
Utsuri like, Utsuri.
Unless Utsuri means strawberry, and we got a one with red spots.
I don't know.
Well, if you are having any doubts, you do have the book in your hands that will quell them. The first chapter, as a reminder, was Physiology, Appearance, and Healthcare.
That helps. It probably helps.
But if you want to trust your guts, you can try. If not, you can come back to the book and I can send you that page.
It's probably a good idea because you never know with biologists coming up with names for things. These could all be troll names that are the complete opposite of what they sound like. Yeah, let's take a look at the appearance page.
So this page, it's filled with a lot of minute details and size, colors, scales, fin shapes. But thankfully, there's an accompanying chart that's much easier to understand at a glance.
All right, we got a bunch of fish. We've got
Shirobeko.
We got a bekko, which is a
Mhm.
shirobeko, white and black. We got it correct. That's the small one.
Woohoo!
There's a koromo, a tancho, a kohaku, a taisho sanke, a showa sanshoku, and then utsurimono. There's the hi utsuri. It's black and red.
Okay. I didn't see that coming.
And finally, kigoi, which is a yellow fish. We were right. We didn't need this page at all.
You did it!
Wait, so ki, why did you say that ki was like, what was your reference to
Yellow.
ki? Ki just means,
I think yellow is kiroi, like iro.
You are right,
like color,
it's kiroi.
and ki, yellow.
didn't remember that whatsoever. But so that is
Kiroi?
just like kigoi, yellow koi.
Yeah, probably. That's probably just yellow koi.
All right. So we know which fish is which. We can associate them with what they like. So,
But we also need to get rid of the big one.
but we've got a net.
We got a net. So we can pick it up. We put that to make a little
We
fish
put it
cage.
in the pond.
We put it in the pond.
It will, through that hole, fill with water, but still stay separate from the rest of
Right.
it.
Can we, with our lovely net, catch our big hi utsuri?
We'll put some Fruit Loops in the
Koi.
water for it. I didn't
And
check
throw
if
in.
that was good for it or not, but it seemed to want everything.
Well, you absolutely can. This net is sturdy. You catch hi utsuri. And I presume you pop them into their new home.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we throw them in this separate tank.
So now we can focus on feeding Shirobeko and Kigoi. I don't remember why we were interested
No,
in doing that.
there's no reason
but
for us right now to be feeding these fish other than just the
It's-
enjoyment of it.
Gonna be useful, so let's figure out what they need.
Okay. Shirobeko prefers vegetables as a treat, likes it when her food matches in color, can easily recognize her favorite treat by smell, and would like flake-sized bits.
Yes, she.
If we look at our foods that we had, the only vegetable treat we have is that cauliflower.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't know what's in. Is that garlic full of garlic?
The garlic is empty.
Oh no.
It says you can easily recognize her favorite treat by smell. So maybe it's about smelling of things rather than like garlic has a pretty
Well, you-
prominent smell.
There's a
Yeah,
herb
and you
garden.
also had some faint smells.
Yeah.
You're right.
Is there a garlic smell in the herb garden?
There is. You follow your nose and you can follow it to a nice tall green stem, and you pull it out, and there is some garlic at the end, fresh garlic.
All right, we got some fresh garlic. Is garlic? Is it white?
Special.
This
It
newly
is. Yeah.
pulled. Okay, great. That's a garlic. Okay, but that's her favorite treat.
Yeah. Yep. So we need the one primary protein and then one tasty treat.
Do we know which?
Well, I suppose we should start opening the protein things to see which one seems
Yeah,
whitest.
which of these is white? The squid, presumably.
I don't know.
You open it up, the flakes seem white.
Can we look through these various proteins and see if there's anything else that is white other than the squid?
Yes, you can. So, but you do know that it's a flake. Is there anything else in that guide that might help link to which ones are flakes and which ones aren't?
Ooh, oh, the color. So flake is yellow,
Sorry, I skimmed over
green
that.
is bar, pellet is grey. So we know that the squid and the herring are the flakes. And I'm assuming the herring is not white and the squid is.
Well, the squid was white when you opened it. The herring flakes were not.
So for the little one, it's a bit of that garlic and
Whoa. Squid first.
Well, okay.
Start with the primary protein.
So we feed it. We put in some
Little baby
some
flake.
flakes of squid
Yeah.
for the
And
shirobeko.
she gobbles them up quite happily. She seems very energized, and she swims to a particular part of the pond and starts swimming very energetically.
Intriguing.
So the kigoi loves shellfish, would want a pellet, and
Which is great.
needs to stick to a low cholesterol diet, and likes wheat products as a treat. So for its treat, we can give it the Fruit Loops, the cereal. For its protein, it would need either kelp, krill, or shrimp.
But we want low
191.
cholesterol.
81, 0. So the kelp. it would
Definitely
want.
kelp.
Dried kelp. Okay, but doesn't like kelp because it's not a shellfish.
Oh, right. I know
so
what
we
kelp
go
is.
instead for krill, being lower
All right.
cholesterol than shrimp. It's not allergic to cholesterol. So can we throw in some krill for that one?
Great.
that makes more sense.
So She snaps that up and she also swims to a different part of the pond and starts swimming energetically.
And now we release the big black one from its prison because it also will need to swim to some part of the pond, I'm assuming. And can we give it, well, eat almost anything, but like salty proteins best. Fruit is a treat. Loves to chase and eat food as it sinks. Well, let's look for a salty bar protein
That will sink.
between worm meal, soy meal, and anchovy. The sodium.
They don't say sodium.
What
else is
anchovies
salt?
are famously salty, aren't they
That's
not?
true.
So let's go for anchovies.
Yeah, common sense. All right, so we've got some big bars
We
of.
throw an anchovy bar into the
anchovy.
pond for the big one.
What about
All
a
right.
treat?
We haven't been giving them treats.
What? I've been giving them
Yeah, you
treats.
did.
Oh, I thought we would skip.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
there's,
heard.
Oh, there's fruit.
I heard some
The
treats.
fruit is apple.
Wait,
or
well,
grape.
apples or grapes?
Oh.
Which one would sink?
Grapes float, right?
I don't know.
Grapes float. Apples.
I've never
no,
put
wait,
grapes
apples
in
float,
water.
'cause there's a
Apples
classic
definitely
apple bobbing
float.
thing.
Do
So maybe the
grapes
grapes
sink?
Maybe grapes sink. I've never put a grape in liquid. Then again, that's how you make wine. You just sink a couple of grapes.
Oh my god.
We drop in some grapes because apples famously float.
Perfect. So once that's done, all of the fish, they seem to be swimming really happily. You watch them for a little bit, and the more you watch them, the more you realize that they seem to be swimming in some sort of pattern. And this is how they are swimming.
All right, for people at home, you can see the swimming pattern.
Ooh.
The Shirobeko is swimming between two rocks in a anti-clockwise fashion.
Would call it a zero, sort of like an anti-clockwise zero sort of thing.
You're right. It's going
Right.
like around like a little zero. It could be a single line, just going up between the two points.
Yeah, I'm
So
not.
it could be a one. It just goes
Mhm.
up, comes back down, goes
It
up.
is pretty
comes back down.
skinny. That's
So let's call that a
interesting.
one.
Okay.
The next one goes around the rugged rocks, the ragged rascal ran. It goes around the top rock and then around the other rock the other way, making
that
a big
looks pretty
figure eight
80.
around two things. So that's 1-8.
Mhm.
And then the last one just goes around one rock over and over and over again
very
in
round
an O
rock.
shape. So that is 180.
That's interesting.
For a 3-digit code, let us have a look. Can we go to the
I'd go to the cabinet.
and try and, because that had a dial lock between 0 and 9, and they're kind of classic, you go right, then left, then right.
Yeah.
Can we go 1, then 8, then 0?
So you feel it's just a hunch, but it wouldn't hurt to test out this 180. And on 0, the lock clicks open. Nice.
Nice.
So you remove the lock, you open the doors. Hanging on a clothing rack inside, there's a gardening smock. On the floor of the cabinet is one thigh-high wading boot, and above the rack is a shelf which has a toolbox.
Okay, the toolbox, we get the screwdriver out, and we earnestly obtained the ring that we cheated our way to earlier.
You can do both. Honestly, I've had groups do both.
The wading boots we put
Yeah,
on,
have a pair.
so now we're wearing our waders.
Yep, I feel comfortable
Okay, so
with that.
who's decked out in the waiters? We have Minnie
Me.
and Gloves.
Yeah, it's
Is
for
she
you this
completing the
time.
look? Oh, okay, Bill. All right. So he's got nice.
He's putting them on his
waders.
hands, though. All right. Now, I still don't know what we're going to be trudging through. We could trudge through the koi pond, but I don't know why we'd disturb them like that. We've been pretty nice to them so far.
What do we need with it for with a gardening
I
smock?
don't know. Let's just ruffle them for a bit, see if anything falls out of them.
Sure.
So you take a look through the smock, and you do see something in there. Yeah, it's a watch. There's a watch in one of the pockets. It's a kind that you need to wind by hand, but unfortunately, it seems like the wheel needed to wind the watch is missing and has been missing for a long time. Its hands aren't moving. You can't hear any ticking. It's definitely dead. The face of the watch, there's an image of a very delicate white flower surrounded by Roman numerals. It looks the same as the flower on the necklace.
Okay. Does that make this thing number 3?
Could be thing number 3.
What's the time?
So the hour hand has stopped just above the X. The minute hand is pointing at VII.
Okay. So it's 10:35. Can we put 1035 into the 4-digit utility box combo?
You absolutely can.
I didn't say we would. I'm just finding out if we can.
Absolutely can.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you open that cabinet using those 4 digits. The lock clicks open. So you pull open the doors. The interior of the utility cabinet is divided into two sections. On the left, you see a metal box labeled HVAC, and on the right, a series of pipes are connected to another unit.
What are these pipes connected to?
The pipes themselves, there's a small arrow button that you can press to scroll through the options on that little unit. So there's a few different tabs on the screen. It says water usage report, water hardness settings, flow options, filter status, oxygen level. So this must be the unit that's connected to the waterfall and the pond.
Yeah.
There's quite a few options, and it seems you have no idea what to look for. So it might be best if you can find something to point you in the right direction for this.
Man, I just want to look at flow level 0.
Yeah, no
Pull
flow.
that pipe out. But okay. All right, HVAC. Anything that says HVAC scares me.
Can we use it to dehumidify the room a little?
Probably. I just don't know what to do with it, but I feel like that's a good goal.
So you open the metal panel and you see 9 dials. So 1 in the center connected to an 8 in a ring around it. And they're all connected by short white lines. So each little dial, it has the word off and then the numbers 1 to 9 printed in a white arc above them. So they are all currently pointing to the off setting for each dial. You notice that the dials in the outer ring are different colors. The north and south dial are red. The east and west dials are orange. The northwest and southeast dials are blue. The northeast and southwest dials are green.
Okay.
The dial in the center just has all 4 colors mirrored in the same pattern.
All right, those are the colors from the welcome mat, right?
Those are welcome mat
Okay.
colors.
Taped to the inside of the metal panel is a label. So it's old and smudged, but you can make out the following. When in use, each dial must be set to a different value to avoid system malfunctions and overheating.
Okay.
So here's the thing.
Mhm.
The lines on the welcome mat already sort of point to those dials' positions. North and south, red. That's the
They
L
do.
being red. Northwest, southeast,
You're right, they do.
blue, northeast.
Okay.
So that's not going to give us any
So
new
the-
information.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But they do equal flower, flower, flower.
Mhm. So, like, we had group of flowers, reverse group of flowers. There are 5 flowers. Maybe it's 5, 5, 2, because it looks flipped, and a 2 is a reverse 5.
Oh, I might be a stylistic choice for the welcome mat design. Trying to be, I guess, symmetrical in a way,
Intriguing.
like the equal signs.
Okay.
If it was not flipped, we don't have to worry about the flipping.
That
I
would
mean,
be the
then
same
it's 5,
each
5,
time.
5, it's 15.
Okay. Ooh.
And everything
Oh, interesting.
has 9. So we're trying to find 3 ways to make 15 with 2 separate dials where all the dials are set to different values.
Oh, that's
So like we could do
fun.
one where the reds are set to, like, for example, 9. Oh, there's not that many ways to do it though. Because then you have to have the red set to say 9 and 6. Then the others are set to, greens could be set to 8 and 7. But then
We're
there's
already
no
at
other
15s.
ways to make
Well, the
15.
middle dial.
You're missing the middle dial.
Yeah.
Yes, you're missing the middle
so
dial.
it's just a magic square. Because the middle dial can be set to
It
1 to
was
9
all,
as well.
like all of them. Yeah.
I thought it was separately just pointing at each of these things. Okay, so it as well as a 1 to 9.
Okay.
So we need a magic square where
Somewhat.
everything is set to different values.
Yeah.
So I want to put a 5 in the middle.
Agreed. That feels like the inclination is to put something medium in the middle. That's usually how these go.
And then we just got to make us some
Combinations to make
15s.
10.
Yeah.
That's not
to make
so
10.
bad.
We've got 9 and 1. We've got
2 and
8 and 2. We've got 7 and 3. We've got 6 and 4. We can put those opposite each other in however many ways. Do we need to worry about the horizontals and the verticals of the magic square?
Assuming that we don't have to do that for the moment. Because you're right, I haven't done that either. And with a 9 and an 8 out there, I worry about the possibility of it.
I mean, we at least know what they're
No,
paired
wait, no,
with.
that's totally possible.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yep. I've just got to swap my 6 and my 4 and my 8 and my 2. That's better.
So what is it, Danny?
My top left going across looks like currently 618. And then my middle row, including the big middle dial, is 753. And then at the bottom, 294.
Perfect. So that setting seems to have done something.
Something.
So you can hear a faint electronic whine coming from the ceiling. After swiveling the last number, the whine gets louder and louder, and because it's coming from all around you, you poke your head out of the room and look out into the pond room. You see that many of the glass ceiling panels have now opened. Fresh air is circulating evenly through the room, rapidly decreasing the humidity.
Well, then, I desperately want to go to that foggy glass.
Let's go back to the foggy glass and see what it looks like unfogged.
Yes, so you can see clearly into the pond room. From this angle, you don't notice anything significant about the pond room quite yet. But what you do notice is the lights on the workbench are on.
Yes, I was going to say we've also never been back to the workbench.
You did want to go back to the first room in general.
So you make it back to the workbench, and you see that the flower on the vine has bloomed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fun.
So the flower, you see something white and small had fluttered out and landed on the surface of the table. You're not sure where it came from, but possibly one of the blossoms. It's a loosely curled piece of paper, and it looks and reads a little bit like a fortune cookie fortune.
Ooh.
The tiny text says, "Still water reveals today's lucky numbers. Seek a new point of view."
That means, I think, looking at the pond through the glass that has been defogged, when the waterfall is not going,
Agreed.
will reveal some numbers.
I really want to turn off that water.
I will say there is one thing that you haven't looked at in the sunroom, and it was the fountain that was in the Japanese rock garden.
Yeah.
There was a fountain in the garden. Let's go back and look at that fountain.
It's a simple Japanese fountain, so it sits at the center of a small rock garden. You step up to it and take a look. It's one of those ones with a pivoting arm and spout, so the kind that gets water into it and then tips down with a little thunk.
Oh, gotcha.
Ah, little
The bamboo half?
the deer scaring fountain.
Yes, the Oshishiodoshi fountain. So you lean over, you check out the back of the fountain. There is a little switch at the back, you notice. And as you bend over, you can see inside the bamboo, and there's something stuck at the very bottom of it. It's round and looks to be made of plastic. You give the bamboo arm a shake and a thump, but it's really stuck in there. Maybe some water might help get it out?
Yeah.
But where are we going to get that?
Oh, we got a hose. Can we patch up our hose with duct tape and bring it all the way over there?
Well, is the hose that long?
The hose is that long. She's got a lot of garden to water.
Okay, we unravel it, and as one of us is unraveling, the other one is patching.
Yeah.
All right, so you patch. The hose is working perfectly now. You test it. The water's coming out nice and strong.
All right, we fill up the fountain bamboo.
You fill up the fountain, you switch it on, and after filling the basin, some water starts to spurt up from the top spout, and you watch, and it tips finally with a very satisfactory thunk, and the small plastic capsule comes rolling out. You pop it open, and there's a tiny key in here.
We needed a tiny key.
We did need a tiny key.
What was locked
The
with a key?
workbench drawer.
The workbench drawer. Can we open the workbench drawer with a key?
You absolutely can. So the drawer unlocks. You pull it open, and there's a small notebook and a small little zippered pouch.
Can we unzip the pouch?
Yes, you can. Inside the pouch, there's a collection of receipts and some notes and some invoices. They look like they're related to the renovations. But at the top of the pile, you find the most recent receipt with a little shopping list. And this is the shopping list that you see.
All right, you can see this shopping list at home. Oh, I see lilies on it.
Yeah, so we've got Novelty Garden Gnome ×1, love it. Mariposa Lily ×2, Juniper Tree Seedling, various numbers. These numbers are probably important, but you can look at them. Jan's Delight Rose, Mayaka Moss Stems, Apricot Tree Seedling, Sepia Bee Cactus. But then it does say at the bottom, the first three are the most important.
Oh, November for Novelty Garden Gnome, March for Mariposa Lily, Juniper Tree Seedling, January Delight Rose, May Acker Moss Stems, April Icket Tree Seedling, and September Ear Bee Cactus.
Amazing.
That's my drag name. September Ear Bee Cactus.
Beautiful.
Oh, yes, we had those flowers of the month poster.
Yeah, we've got various numbers. We could be like counting letters of their names, things like that. There are all sorts of things we could be doing with this.
Yep.
So let's say let's just go
November?
with it.
Novelty garden gnome. November. That is
Chrysanthemum. So maybe
times 1. Maybe that's
I'll
just
put
the
a
C.
C.
The letter
We'll
C,
see what happens.
first letter of chrysanthemum.
The Mariposa lily. So that was March.
Is daffodil.
Times 2. That's an A. This is promising.
All right. Juniper tree seedling. June is
Rose.
times 3, so the
An
third letter of
S.
rose. S.
This is still functional.
Jan's delight rose. That is January is a carnation.
Times
1 is C.
I'm not seeing anything to dissuade me yet.
Mayaka moss stem. May is
That's a lily of the valley.
lily of the valley. We want 11.
Oh, good, because that's the long one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's an A. I love it.
Apricot tree seedling times 1. April is
The daisy.
a daisy times 1 is D.
And
then
Septemberia
bee cactus is
Aster.
Aster times 4, the fourth
That's
letter of
an
Aster.
E. And
What does that spell?
is a distinct word. It says cascade.
It does say cascade.
I'm throwing my pen down. I don't know where to put cascade at this point. We didn't have any word locks or anywhere, did we? Cascade means waterfall. That feels
Yes.
important.
Where could we input cascade? What was up with the waterfall?
The pipes that
We just
scared
didn't know
me.
what was going on with it.
Yeah, you had a couple pipes, you had a couple settings. You have a little clue. You could head back there and take a look again using that.
Yeah,
Maybe
if we
that's
go
a
to
good
the
idea.
flow settings, is it set on cascade?
Well, yeah, you know what? You take a look through the tabs, this time looking for anything that might connect to the word cascade. You finally do spot something in flow options. There's a setting labeled cascade. It's currently set to falls, but cascade is unselected. So you select it and hit enter. Nothing seems to change at first, but after a minute or two, you notice that the sounds of the falls is a lot softer than it used to be. You look up at the glass blocks near the ceiling in this room, and you see that the water is no longer rushing past them like before. Back in the pond room, you see that the waterfall is now trickling from a much, much lower height, revealing a natural cedar wood wall stippled with knots. With its weaker flow, the water is no longer able to reach the center of the pond, and it's now emptying into a separate drain. So the pond's waters are nice and perfectly still.
Oh, this has so many
Okay.
options open for us.
So now we can knot this one.
And I would like to, but first I want to run back into the very first room and look at the pond
Look at the
through
pond
the now
through the
dehumidified glass.
Dehumidified glass to see the lucky numbers.
Yes, so now you see that the mosaic is reflecting perfectly still. So imagine what that word would look like from the opposite angle. Because now you're standing from the south wall as opposed
Now
to...
it says 7.
71735, but maybe the other way or 2. Oh my god, hold on.
Would it say? So it's reflected this way, but we're looking at it from that way.
This is
it'll
so
be
many reflections.
5, 3, 1, 7, 1, 7.
I can't tell if it's a 5 or a 2. Okay, those are numbers. We've still been needing numbers for like the alarm.
Can we put this into the alarm code?
Yeah, totally. So you pop, what was it again? 5, 3, 1, 7, 1, 7.
1717?
Yeah.
Yeah, you pop that in and the alarm chirps happily and the light flashes green. You hear the door unlock.
Okay.
So we can leave.
Yeah. You're
But
free to
we
go. You're
can't
free to go.
leave.
You've done everything else you wanted to do.
What else do we need to do?
Oh, I know what I want.
I've already forgotten. What's it? Go back to that message. What was our goal?
I know what I want to
What do you want to do?
But hold on, I want to see. Did I forget something in the drawer? I've got the word cascade. I had the zip purse that had the receipt.
Oh, there was a notebook that we
There
got.
was a
We never
notebook,
looked at that notebook.
yes.
Can we have a look through that notebook?
So you take a look. It's more of like a day planner. So you skim through a couple of the days and you find a card taped inside 1 month. It's got a large bouquet of beautiful flowers on the front. And there's a little message inside that you say, there's no harm in taking a look. It says, "Happy birthday, sweetheart." Must be a birthday card for your friend. And the flowers that are on that card, they do match the flowers on the necklace, the watch, and the ring, now that you think about it.
We need to know our friend's birthday. How good a friend are we? Do we know our friend's birthday?
Well, you have a day planner that it's taped into. You could flip it up and check the month.
Very guiltily. Yep.
That's fine. So you flip it up. It's taped to a page in the month of February.
Now, Billy, the problem is, I know exactly what I want to do. I do not have a goal with it at this point. So I just want to go through everything that we have here right now that we haven't dealt with, or that we may still have more promise that we could deal with. So there's this that we have just found.
Sure.
Haven't really done much with the toolbox, but it might have been that we just managed to skip over that with our ingenuity.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all of our jewelry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We had the ad for the pizza place.
Mm-hmm.
We had an ad for a pizza place?
Yep, I haven't forgotten that.
You did.
Where was that?
That's a good question. I don't remember where it was. I just know that I drew it. I have it drawn next to my Luminade, but I don't know if that was right.
If you recall, the pizza was kind of promoting a specific salty type of pizza.
It was the baked and briny.
Oh, you're right. The onion, spinach, triple anchovies, and sauce.
That's the one. Should we have ordered that pizza for one of the fish?
I will say it was an in-room hint for the anchovies.
The saltiness of anchovies.
Oh, that
Salty
makes
food.
perfect sense.
So we're done with
So
that.
you-
Okay, great.
You didn't need it.
So,
Now, Billy,
yes, please.
there is one thing that I have drawn on here that I do not think you have drawn on your map,
And what is that?
because it is not drawn on my map. It was drawn while we were in the intro. I have drawn an apple tree with a pond.
Oh, yes, because
That was in the front yard.
there is an apple tree, a pond, a woman, and a neighbor.
I want to put on the wading boots and go walking through that pond, picking up some apples.
Or was that just a hint that apples float?
That probably
That was the hint that apples float.
Tick off
I
the bond.
haven't stopped thinking about that apple tree.
Well, we've
No,
solved
I
it.
wanted to make sure that some useful information was available.
So, what do we actually have left? We've got the waders we've never used.
Yep.
Sorry, back to that original question. We can leave, but we don't want to leave. What are we here for? We've done so many
We're
things.
trying to find the magic of
Johannesburg, Tarantella's
energy.
horrifically complicated, unnecessarily greenhouse is housing her research that she
Yeah,
doesn't
which
want
we
the
have not
government
found.
to find.
But we found a notebook, but the notebook isn't full of research. The notebook is instead has a day planner that has a birthday on a month.
Mhm.
Other than birthdays, the one thing we know about February is that Iris is the flower of the month.
Yes. So the flower on all of your jewelry is an iris. That's what you know.
What is the looking at that cedar wall by itself? Now that we're done with all the overlooking of the numbers in the pond, what does the cedar wall look like?
So the cedar wall itself is really nice. It's natural cedar. There's knots everywhere. You try taking a look at the arrow indicated spot through that plastic flap, and you can see that it points directly to one specific knot.
Is it pushable?
Well, yeah, you have your waders on, so you walk up into the pond and you take a look at the knot. You trudge through the pond without any issues, and approaching the knot, you see that it is different. It's actually a small camera lens.
Oh.
It reminds you a little bit of those biometric scanners.
How are we gonna match our friend's Iris?
With an iris.
Who just hold a ring up over our eye?
Yeah, we
lean down?
show that locket that was sent to us. The glass ball. It's like a fake glass eye with an iris in it. We hold that up to the scanner.
So an iris scanner, of course. You hold the necklace up to the camera and you wait. You hear the faint flutter of a camera shutter and then a positive chirp from the device. After a few seconds, the cedar plank to the left slides down partway, revealing a small metal safe behind it.
I'm assuming the safe is locked, but I'll try it anyway.
Yes, so the safe, it's pretty simple in its design. There's a little handle, you see a keypad with a digital readout, and you see an oddly shaped keyhole. So next to both of those small features, there's some LED lights that are red right now.
Does the keyhole take the ring iris as the key?
Yeah, well, you can check, and yeah, you tuck that iris ring inside, and it seems to click in place, so you turn it, and the light turns green.
Nice.
Okay. But we still can't open it. What else do we need? A code?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this, I think, is the most tricky thing about this room. The code. Do you have another number code?
Well, this is what I was looking at. The word safe.
Yeah, I
Please
remember the
listen
word numbers.
carefully. There are ... numbers ... of things you should hear ... and keep ...
safe.
safe.
Yes, this is clearly something.
So it says the word
safey.
safe.
All right, so we've got to look through this long initial message and see what we can figure out where a code might be hidden amongst the here.
Well, are there numbers to hear in this message? Like exactly 5 days after my visit?
Oh,
That's a code.
interesting.
Maybe we should just find all the
We'll
numbers
just
that
put-
appear in this letter as we read it out.
Very slowly. I've been stretching the truth a bit when it comes to what I do. 2 is always a tough one to know whether to include it or not. But let's assume. Since you've known me, you've believed
that
I've been working as a
professor
professor
of biology, and I have, but that's not the full 7. Nope, story. As you know, my expertise is in plant biophysics. A few months ago, I stumbled upon a discovery that could theoretically solve the global energy crisis completely. I ran multiple tests and confirmed my findings over and over. When I was sure my data was sound, I went through the proper channels and approached the government with my information. They seemed so interested and excited about what I had found. God, I was so naive.
May I
see
pause you there?
Yeah.
I will say there are 2.
In that block, there are 2 numbers?
Yes,
There
there are 2.
Man, there are a couple of numbery phrases, like a few and over and that sort of thing, but I don't know how to put
yeah,
those
those
in
aren't.
specific numbers.
As you know, my
Yes.
expertise is in plant biophysics. Biophysics. A few months ago, I stumbled.
Oh, no.
Is there something there?
No, I don't know, and that's the problem because I know how hard it is and how obvious it is when you know it,
Discovery that could
but I
theoretically
haven't found it yet.
solve the global energy crisis completely.
Wait, biophysics?
Oh yeah,
Is that a
biophysics.
6?
2-6. A few months ago, I stumbled upon a discovery that could theoretically solve the global energy crisis completely. I ran
multiple tests and confirmed my findings over and over. Over and over. It feels like it wants to be something.
information.
4!
Oh
Ah!
gosh. Exactly 5. Now that one's easy.
That says 5.
Days after my visit, I arrived at my lab
and
found it full of suits.
Full of suits.
They were ransacking the place. They took everything, wiped my computers, destroyed my samples. They said something about maintaining. I'm not going to assume that says maintaining. The status quo and national security as they were leaving. I told them I wouldn't let them get away with this, that a completely green alternative energy source should be public knowledge. But they scoffed at me, told me that they have 0 tolerance for insubordination and would neutralize...
Is that a 4? 4 insubordination?
4 insubordination. And would neutralize any perceived threats accordingly. A few weeks later, my position at the university was terminated.
8.
Terminated. Out of the blue. And now I'm sure I'm being followed. Right now, my research is my main priority, and there is no one I would trust more than you. My original notes and samples are hidden in my personal oasis. That's nothing. My greenhouse. I have sent my favorite necklace along with this message. It will help you discover their whereabouts. This necklace is part of a set of 3 pieces. So please keep your eyes open. The missing jewelry will be key. I didn't want you involved, but I felt there was no other way. Please make sure my research isn't lost. I really believe that it could change the world for the better.
We got a lot of numbers out of that. It's
26
entirely possible that we missed one, but
264-504-8134.
I think it's worth a try.
Does that open the safe?
All right, so you enter the code from the message into the keypad and press enter. You wait with bated breath, and yes, there is a soft click within the safe, and the light turns green. You have successfully found your friend's research, and we are in the end game.
We open it, we take the research, we throw it in the pond. No one's allowed to read it.
So yes, you open the door to reveal stacks of paper, preserved samples, small data storage devices, and more. Taped to the inside of the door is another micro SD card. Without hesitation, you grab it and insert it into your phone. As you'd hoped, you'd found another WAV file. You did it! I knew that you were the right person for the job. Well, this is it. The sum of all my years of work, my discovery/creation of Mozuku 60. You might have seen the remains of one of my experiments in the greenhouse. If it survived this long without care, that is. I'm trusting you to do what's right with what you found. Everything anyone would need to reproduce my experiments and confirm my results is right at your fingertips. Be careful, though. I'm sure the people who've been following me aren't going to give up until they're certain they've covered everything up for good. So, your friend makes a good point. Having this information could be dangerous. What will you do with it? You have a few options here. This is kind of the choose your own adventure part of this game. You can put everything into the backpack you brought with you. You can take pictures of everything, upload them, and then maybe delete them from your phone if you're worried. You can leave the hard copies behind. You can take the strange approach and, hey, slip everything into those boots you're wearing. You can leave everything behind as well.
I think you got to make copies.
We had stationery. I say we write out copies. We stay here. We lock ourselves in, sequester ourselves in here, taking care of the koi for days upon days, rewriting everything. So that we
also, as you do, you got to publish photos online. You got to get it out there for everybody.
Oh, totally.
You got to get it outside of government control. You got to put it all up online.
Okay, so I'm assuming
we have big friends in the media.
Big friends in the media. Okay, so that is
independent media, though.
They're absolutely not important, but they're very big.
Hey,
he's like
listen,
7'2", and he gets coffee for someone.
So I guess number 2, taking pictures of everything, uploading them, and then
the closest,
or taking copies. Okay, and you're going to leave the hard copies there.
Yeah, because the government needs to, we set them to upload in a couple of days to give the government people time to get in here, destroy all the evidence, be like, we got it. We got the evidence. No point to look for anybody now. And then we leaks all in a day.
That's a solid idea, but what if they don't have the ability to hack our
No. We're
emails?
We're unhackable. We'll be fine.
All right. Okay. So that's your option. That's your choice. Okay. So now you are free to leave the greenhouse if you're ready to go.
Let's get out of here. Job done. Right. Kings of the greenhouse.
You jump, slow motion, freeze frame, high five, and then leave the greenhouse. Your head still spinning from everything you've learned and experienced. So, you pat your pocket absently as you make your way towards the backyard gate. And opening it, you see Johannesburg's neighbor and the woman from across the street standing on the path in front of you.
We shoot them both. They're government agents. Bang, bang.
We brought our slingshot, right?
Hook into one, slingshot the other, steal the car. I think I wrote there was a car here.
Yes, you did. Okay, well, let's see. The woman steps forward. She says, Agent Dusk. And she flashes a badge. The man follows suit. I'm Agent Dawn. He, still wearing his gardening gloves, also flashes his badge. Who are you? She continues. Let's see some ID. So you give them some ID.
Yeah, some interior damage. I kick him so hard they start to bleed and I run.
Man, I don't know what you guys I don't know why you're here. He has, our friend Johannesburg has some really expensive fish, and we were asked to feed them.
We were just feeding the koi.
Have you ever dealt with koi? They're really picky.
We play koi and only mention the koi.
You give her the ID. She barely looks at the ID before handing it to the man. So he studies it more carefully, then hands it back. It's all smudged with dirt from his gloves. He removes the gloves somewhat sheepishly and tucks them into his belt. So she levels her gaze at you. What exactly were you doing back there? Do you want to come clean, stretch the truth, or lie through your teeth?
Stretch the truth, which is we were feeding koi and looking after plants and things.
And complaining that the koi are really picky about what they eat.
Yeah, so I think that's B, stretch the truth. You got to have a kernel of truth in your lie.
We brought the koi book with us to prove it.
We have the koi book. We're covered in squid flakes.
Yeah, so you're wearing waders, so it's plausible.
And we stink of anchovy.
She shares a look with the man before fixing her eyes back on you. I see. Well, this home and its immediate surroundings are part of an ongoing investigation. As you appear to have a direct connection to our person of interest, we will need to conduct a search of your person and your belongings.
That's pretty rude.
Get out of here. You got a warrant? I kick him.
Yeah. I'm going to say no. I don't think that this has to happen.
Well, the man crosses his arms, shifts his weight, and you notice a pistol holstered at his side. He looks at you, then pointedly looks at your backpack. So you try to keep your expression neutral as your backpack is taken by the man in search. Finding nothing of value, he drops it at your feet before turning his outstretched palm up. He asks for your phone, and you give it to him. We'll return this to you in good time. She smiles unconvincingly and motions for the man to pat you down. And when that's finished, the woman nods. You're free to go. But she says, don't go too far. I'm sure we'll be in touch. So you two have got the good ending. So the greenhouse is raided, and the hard copies of your friend's research are discovered and destroyed. The government is able to retrieve some image data from your phone, and you're detained as well. But before you were arrested, you were able to forward your photos to several local and international news outlets. Word of your friend's research goes out to the public, and now the genie is definitely out of the bottle. Without the original documentation, it's difficult for the scientific community to immediately reproduce the results, but the science is sound and they forge their way forward. And in time, they're able to reproduce her research, and the future definitely seems a little brighter.
Excellent.
Nice. Seaweed for all.
That's it. Yeah, great job, guys.
Thanks for listening to Escape This Podcast. Stay tuned for next week's episode where we discuss the escape room we just did with the guest we just had. This podcast is kept afloat by crowdfunding, so if you enjoy the show, why not support it on Patreon? There's weekly bonus audio for our $5 donors, monthly videos for our $10 donors, monthly trivia for our $20 donors, and anyone at any level can appear as an NPC in one of the rooms that Danny designs. And thanks again for listening.